Lucas to a dinosaur and pet. They ain't know that I'm Tyrannosaurus Rex. Try to paint a rubber, rip apart his neck. I ain't doing interviews and autographs. I don't like the way you talking, all of that.
All right, welcome to the Twist of Time podcast with me, Joey, not Zay. We have Maddie in this time as our co-host. And for our special guest, we have our very own broadcasting teacher, Mr. Snyder. At least I remembered you this time.
You did remember me this time. Thank you.
All right, so it's Veterans Day today, and we know that you have been in the military. I wanted to ask you, not how was the military, more like what was your experience with the military?
Well, I was in the National Guard, Army National Guard for 9 years. I started out as a combat engineer, which sounds cool. We did work with landmines and demolition, C4, explosives, that kind of stuff. Mainly blew stuff up. Hopefully we didn't get blown up while we were doing it. We would actually, luckily I never went to combat as a combat engineer, but we'd be the ones on the ground before infantry. We'd make sure we cleared the area, that it was safe, so not kind of dangerous. But then after that, we ended up switching over and became an equipment operator backhoe.
So I don't really. So for me, the National Guard is something that's very the least understood for me. I know more about the Marines, the Army, and the Air Force and Navy, but I don't understand as much about the
National Guard. The Army National Guard it's a part of the Army, but are you familiar with the Army Reserves?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Army National Guard is similar to that, except through the state. Reserves federal, National Guard is state. So I was in the Ohio Army National Guard, so it wasn't a full-time service. It was weekends and then a couple weeks during the summer. But at any point in time, we could get activated or deployed. So we were kind of I want to say part-time, but it was kind of part-time. So I was able to I still lived in my normal house and did things, but we just had on weekends we'd train, in the summer we'd train.
So did you have to get deployed anywhere?
Well, I got deployed a couple times in southern Ohio when there was some flooding in Adams County it was a while ago. This would have been in the 90s, late 90s. So we went that for cleanup and stuff of that nature. But actually, after I got out in 2002, and after I got out a little while, my old unit ended up going to Afghanistan for 18 months. So I did not go with them because I was already out, but I easily could have.
So would you have had to go to places for the Gulf War and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah, you could have. A lot of times what happens though is the National Guard will fill in at if someone in a Texas or something, if their unit went and got deployed, a lot of times you fill in for them. But yeah, we could have go anywhere. I mean, anybody in the service, their number one job is a soldier. So you always train boot camp. You train the same, and at any point in time, you can go to battle.
Did you go into boot camp right after high school?
No, I grew up in Southern California. I moved out here, and while I was in college, I took some time off and went to boot camp and basic training and school and all that stuff.
When did you decide to serve eventually?
I went in 93, December 1993, when I went away.
How was boot camp?
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's not what I've heard.
Well, it's a big mind game, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of physical aspect to it. I actually kind of enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's tough. I mean, some of the myths, they have to feed you because you have to have energy to do certain things. You have to get sleep, even though it might not be a good night's sleep, but throughout the time. But you get to train. I mean, you get train with weapons, you train with combat. But there's a lot of schooling involved as far as knowing positions, knowing certain things. They teach you things like marching. I mean, they spend a lot of time teaching you how to march. There's a reason when you see a marching, they're all in unison. I mean, that takes practice. You don't just show up one day and can do it all. There's a lot of physical aspect. You got to be able to do certain things. But most of it's mental, to be honest. I mean, the funny story, we were in the gas chamber, which they make you go through a gas chamber. It's not like not to kill you or anything, but it's to make sure that your masks work. I've never seen people that are like the mask, the gas mask on. So we went, and I remember we go in this chamber, and this idiot doesn't make sure, 'cause you're supposed to seal to make sure it works right. He doesn't do it. So he's in there, and they set the gas off, and you're all lined up. And what you're supposed to do is understand that that the mask works, and then they make you take it off, and they make you breathe in this gas, and it'll. And this guy didn't seal, so he's in there, and he's already from the very beginning, he can't breathe. Like if you've ever seen snot comes out of your nose, like your eyes are watering, it's pretty miserable. And what they did is they had everybody else take it off, and they had us put our hands out to show that, make sure we were actually breathing. But this guy's dancing around like a fool, and we're all waiting in there until all of us put our hands out a certain way. And so we come out of there, and right outside us at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, right when you come out, there's this big oak tree. These kids just kept falling right into it. They were walk out and hit this thing right in the head. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. What was one of your favorite jobs you had to do when you were in the National Guard?
Well, I went to Germany in, what year is it? I think it was 01, 2000, and for 3 weeks, and we were at a base, and we had to dig up. This is when I was a backhoe operator. We dug up this whole area for a sidewalk to put a brick sidewalk in. But it was just cool to be in another country, and went to Italy for a couple days. But it was enjoyable to see how people from other countries live a little bit. I mean, we weren't there that long, but that was probably the funnest I did.
Did you ever have to see combat?
No, fortunately, I did not.
That's good. So after you left the National Guard, is that when you decided to start teaching?
I actually was teaching while I was in the National Guard.
So you were a teacher then?
Yeah. I was in school. I started in school. I went to basic training and school, and then while I was still in the National Guard, I became a teacher.
Since it was on the weekends, you could still teach
Right.
during the week.
Yeah. When I got a couple times, I did have to miss some time of teaching.
When you're in Germany for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Germany or at work.
So then did you always want to be a math/computer teacher?
Listen, when I was in high school, the thought of spending one more day in a high school was non-existent. But I ended up I started out of school as an engineering major, and I just kind of math. I always liked math. Math was my thing, and to engineer, I was like, man, I don't want to sit on the desk all the time. I want to be able to do, and I don't know, something happened, and I became a teacher.
So I know recently, since Mr. Garrett had to move positions, you got moved to computer classes. Is that what you majored in as well?
Yeah, my master's is in educational technology. I'm certified in math and computer science. I actually taught computers a long time ago. I used to teach programming. I've taught those general computer classes when I first started, and then I was in math for a long time, and now I'm kind of back in both.
I think before we should end this, we should address the other. Do you know any other teachers that are that were in the military that go here?
Teachers?
Yeah, but some people that are at school. I knew Century was here.
Paul was the janitor.
Paul was in the military, and Officer Kennedy was in the military, so they're both veterans. But no, I don't think any of the teachers
Alright.
are, to my knowledge, or not.
Well, is there anything that you wanted to bring up and add that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I mean.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll hope to see you in the next episode.